Remember, in the course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. Greetings and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave. We're joined as always by our other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
Hey, I'm not doing too bad. I'm craving Mexican food, but I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, okay. That's something.
To be fair, that's not uncommon for me. I really enjoy Mexican food.
As do I. So, all right, but we're ready to dive into this today. Today we're going to do a review of The History of Evil, which is now available on Shudder. And before we get there, let's go through some things. First of all, a special thank you to our wives, our listeners, and our followers for all of your support and everything you do for us to help keep the show rolling. Now, before we dive into all the usual razzmatazz, last episode we talked about Stuffussy. Now, if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, you should go back and listen to the previous episode. The Stuffussy stuff is right at the end. And we talked about what the Stuffussy thing is. It's related to a character in the Vampire Diaries. And for whatever reason, this just kind of fascinated me a bit. So after we got done recording, I thought I'm going to do what I'm terming the Stuffussy challenge. And I put my phone on record in my pocket and went in and asked Monica if she knew what Stuffussy was, essentially. So, I have the audio here. So let's listen to this real quick.
Everybody Stuffussy in here?
Huh?
Says everybody Stuffussy in here?
Stuffussy? What the fuck is Stuffussy? Is it dirty?
Is it dirty?
Oh, it's got a little bit of dirty connotation there.
Well, we had like a 10, 15-minute conversation at the end of our podcast about it.
It is dirty.
It's not dirty.
You had to pause.
It's not dirty. There's a character in Vampire Diaries, apparently, who's Stefan something or other, and apparently it's a good-looking dude, and his character's suave and whatever else. So there's this thing that's happened on the internet saying people are Stuffussy, and it's people or guys that are so suave and have good looking and blah 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 that they can pretty much have their pick of the women. And they're saying, "Oh, that person's Stuffussy."
Oh, well, Stefan, that's pretty lit.
Pretty lit.
Lickable.
Okay, now there you have it. And when I did this, I sent it to you immediately. This was quite humorous, as people just heard. Monica had no clue what Stuffussy was. Didn't know anything about it as I didn't, but she did know who Stefan is, obviously, because she's watched Vampire Diaries, and she referred to him as lickable in the clip. But it just was funny because she was so convinced right off the bat that it was something dirty, that it sounds, which obviously it does kind of sound a little dirty. And then when she found out that we had conversed about it on the podcast, she doubled down and said, "Oh, then it's definitely dirty." What the hell does she think of us, Ike? What does she think we're doing on this podcast?
I know. So just for point of reference, because I just want to lay out a small timeline of events for everybody. I was eating dinner and I got this recording from Dave. So just keep that in mind that we had done the podcast. We recorded, we went our separate ways. He briefly mentioned, he's like, "I want to go on there and say something, Monica." And I was like, okay, yeah, it's probably just a passing joke. And I didn't think he was going to really do it. So when I got the recording, I was literally eating dinner and like, I'm laughing. So like my wife's like, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm like, "You'll have to listen to it later." And so then I did show my wife later and she thought it was absolutely hysterical. In addition to that, I literally showed it to her. I went and took a shower and she's like, "Just to let you know, I listened to it like 2 more times while you were in the shower." And I was like, I mean, it's pretty funny. And so she's now come to just like walk around and just say like, "Is everything Stuffussy in here?" So like, it is now entered into our lexicon to like, it's like saying, "How are you?" It's like, everything's Stuffussy in here.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know exactly how to bring it up in the conversation when I walked in there. So I'm just like, everything's Stafusi in here? And I'm like, whatever. I mean, and she's like, Stafusi, what the fuck's that? And and it just kind of unraveled from there. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I technically know what Stafusi means now since we looked it up and whatever else, but we have absolutely slaughtered it and using it in different ways. But I don't know. It was just funny. I literally thought I have got to go in there and see what she says about this. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I have to record it. I have to hear her because this is clearly going to be gold. And, and Monica didn't let us down. She was confused. And then, of course, she progressed like, oh, okay. I see what that is. Yeah, it makes sense because Stefan is lickable. And, so.
You're like, that wasn't exactly the train of thought we were going for, but whatever works.
I guess. I mean, I guess that is the most Stafusi comment in the world, I guess, but, my hat's off to her, I guess. So, and, for the record, in case anybody is wondering out there, yes, I got her permission to put the recording on here. I didn't, I said, you know what? I really want to put that audio on the podcast. And she's like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Whatever. So just, I don't want anybody to think, what an asshole. He's just throwing her under the bus. No, I'm not throwing her. She jumped under the bus herself. But, no, good laughs. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. And hopefully, everybody will just start to use Stafusi, out of context, in proper ways. Just use it as a greeting now. Apparently. I guess that's the way it is. So.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Good old, it's a perfect greeting.
So if you ever see one of us in public and you come up and said, hey, are you feeling Stafusi or something of that sort, we'll know you're a listener.
Absolutely.
And we'll give you a hearty handshake. So all right. But before we get on to other things after that, Ike, did you watch anything this week?
Not as much as I have in past weeks, but I did watch a couple things. As I've just been kind of busy and we've been watching a couple of shows. I did finish our watch of the show of Legacies. We've been watching like different episodes from that series like for a long time. So I finally finished everything within the Vampire Diaries, like, universe, if you will. And then we also watched on Netflix, it's called Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, it was simply I don't know what I expected. It's Mike Flanagan. Everything he does, everything he touches is good. I mean, Midnight Mass, Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Hush, albeit, I know that some people, our wives, didn't like Hush. But, he does a lot of good stuff. So we checked out Fall of the House of Usher, and for people who don't know, it's sort of his take on some of the tales of Edgar Allan Poe. Quite excellent. A little creepy, not overtly scary, so it's not so scary that, somebody would not be able to watch it, I don't think, but it had some pretty spooky and, disturbing moments for sure. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Alrighty, there you go. I didn't watch much. I'm outside the Buffy. I'm still plowing through Buffy. So that's pretty much, to my knowledge, that's all I've watched. Just continuing the Buffy. So
there you go.
All right, then we'll move on to our weekly segment,
Stump the Cohost.
And this week we're going to play Stump the Cohost. This is our trivia challenge where we have identical horror trivia decks, and we each choose 2 cards out of these decks, which is a total of 4 questions. And we alternate asking each other these questions, and the person who answers the most correctly out of the 4 wins that round. And this is the second time this year that we have played, and in the first one, Ike won 4-3. He is trying to defend his crown from 2023. So far, he is up 1-0. So let's see if I can even the score. Ike, are you ready to play Stump the Cohost?
I sure am.
All right. Well, since you are the defending champion and since you are up, I'm putting you in the hot seat. You'll have to answer the first question.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. The first question is, Christian Bale played Patrick Bateman the homicidal main character in the 2000 film American Psycho, based on the book by which American author? Ooh, interesting question.
So basically it's asking who wrote the American Psycho book, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was making sure I heard that right. My brain is a little funky today. I don't know. I feel like I do know this. I don't really have a guess. I want to say, I'm pretty sure the guy's name's Brett, but I don't know his full name.
Yes, it is Bret Easton Ellis.
Okay. I don't know if you want to count that. I knew his first name was Brett.
No, I'm not counting that. Come on, man. I'm trying to fight from behind here. You got to give me something more than a first name.
Hey, that is fair. I'll take it.
All right. Go ahead. Ask me my first question.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you're going to get this one. If you don't, I'll be very, very upset.
Oh,
all right, you ready? What holiday-themed movie featured a crazed miner and a pickaxe?
Well, that would be My Bloody Valentine.
That is correct.
Right. Yeah. I have a lead.
You're up 1-0 here.
Might be all I get, but who knows? All right. Your second question is, what state does the film and comic book miniseries 30 Days of Night take place?
That would be Alaska.
That would be correct.
All right. Alaska.
Oh, there went my lead. See if I can get it back.
I have been to Alaska, fun fact.
Mm-hmm. All right. Bring on my second question.
All right. In the movie Predator, what substance conceals the character Dutch from the creature?
If I remember right, is it just mud?
It sure is.
Okay, good deal. All right. Woo, rock and roll. All right. Ike, here's your third question. What is the name of the charter boat used to chase down Jaws?
Oh, I know this. Is it... I don't have it. I feel like I have it, but I cannot remember.
It is the Orca.
Yeah, I did know that. I knew it was named after an animal, but I couldn't think of what animal.
Oh, mercy. If I can get one more right, I have sealed a win.
All right.
Here we go.
Question?
I don't know, but we're going to give it a shot anyway.
All right. What actress plays Claire Spencer in the movie What Lies Beneath?
Fuck. I do not remember this. Jesus. I don't know. Let's say Blake Lively.
That is not correct. It is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Damn. All right. So see, now here's your last question. If you miss this, I secure a win. This 1985 horror comedy about vampires was Jim Carrey's first starring role.
Jim Carrey?
Yes, Jim Carrey.
You know, I honestly have no idea. I have not a clue. Jim Carrey was in the movie, and it was his first starring role?
Sure was.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea. What is it?
It was Once Bitten.
Yeah, I've never heard of that movie.
All right, I got to win. Let's see if I can get the my fourth question though.
Yep. All right. What is the name of the character killed in the famous shower scene in the movie Psycho?
Oh, her name?
Yeah. Not the actress's name. The actual character's name.
Yeah. Fuck. I don't know. I really don't know what the character's name was. No idea.
It is Marion Crane.
Okay. if I thought hard enough, I might have got Marion, but I don't know if I ever would have got Crane. So.
Yeah, I would say I vaguely remember the character, but not her name.
Yeah. All right. So that was not a very impressive showing on our part. I get a 2-1 win, but I'll take it. It.
Hey, you take what you can get. That's what I say.
But I've now evened it up at 20-24 to 1 apiece. So I'm pretty happy about that, even if it is a weak showing. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we will have news, birthdays, and movie anniversaries. So stick around.
Make sure you subscribe to Listen to Their Screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2 and Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spread the news. Spread the news. Spread the news. And we're back with the news. All right. Starting us off at the top, Lisa Frankenstein is now available video on demand. We have reviewed this film just a couple episodes ago. We both enjoyed it for the most part. You know, we had our small criticisms to it, but it was a good movie overall. A little weird, but hey, can't beat it. So check it out if you haven't. I will definitely check it out as soon as I can. Again.
Yeah. Fun movie. It was all right. But I'm not going to say any more than that because people can go back and listen to our full review.
True. You got it. All right. Ty West is set to release Maxine in the near future, which was supposed to complete his trilogy with X and Pearl. However, in a recent interview, West did tease he has an idea for a 4th movie in the series, but does not know if he wants to make it yet. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of X. Pearl was okay. I think Dave probably has a similar sentiment towards those films.
Yeah.
We're both excited for Maxine, and, genuinely speaking, like, Mia Goth is going to be a big star one day. She's already a huge star, but she's going to be catapulted even further. Her performances in this trilogy are just, a few of her, list of acting credentials, and I think she's going to continue to do great stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited for Maxine, and I'm definitely on board for more content from Ty West. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, me too. Again, I mean, Pearl was okay. I don't know. Pearl didn't hook me as much as X did, but I love X. I think X was great. And, but I'm super excited about Maxine, and, if he's got an idea for a 4th, bring it on. Yep.
Absolutely agree. All right. Chris Gauthier, who played, I hope I said that right, who played Shaq in 2003's Freddy vs. Jason, and Ronald Resnick in an episode of Supernatural, passed away about an undisclosed illness at the age of 48. Of course, our thoughts are with his family at this time. He has obviously had a longer list of acting credentials than these 2 films, but of course, as a horror podcast, we have to salute his contributions to the horror genre, and he will be dearly missed.
Yeah, he was great in that episode of Supernatural. It's the one where it's the first episode. It's season 2. We just watched the episode, and it's the first one with the no, not the first one, but it's one of the early ones with the shapeshifter, and where they're in the bank, and he's tracking it, and he thinks it's a mandroid and everything else, and then he comes back later as a ghost in another episode. But he's great in that episode. We're talking about them when they're picked up in the camera with having the laser eyes. He was great. And then he was funny in Freddy vs. Jason too. He plays one of the drunk guys out at the thing. But, yeah, he's a pretty good character actor, modern character actor. And, yeah, I mean, 48's young, man. That's my age. That's scary. So.
It is. It's unfortunate, but, we will remember him by his performances. Absolutely.
Rest easy.
That's right. Rest easy. All right. Lionsgate is reportedly planning on new versions of American Psycho and The Dead Zone.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love American Psycho. I love
Me
the first
too.
film. I don't like American Psycho fans because they I think they want to be Patrick Bateman too much. And it's kind of not the point of the movie. But I digress. Obviously, I love American Psycho. I would be willing to watch a remake just for the hell of it. Dead Zone, I don't think I've ever seen. Is that the one with Christopher Walken?
No, it's got, what's his name? Andrew Michael Hall, where he is in it was a movie, then a TV show out of it too, where he is in a car accident and is in a coma for a while. And when he wakes up, he starts being able to have visions when he touches people and things and stuff, and foretelling seeing things in the future. And so he starts working with the police and things, whatever. But it's a pretty good film, pretty good show. There's a lot of he was, like I said, he was in a coma for a while, and his girlfriend has kind of had moved on, obviously, and he was a teacher, and so there was all that side of it. But it's pretty good, But I don't know. I could see it being remade. To me though, American Psycho does not need to be remade. Right. It's one of those films that's really, really good as it is. But I don't know. I don't know. There's so many remakes. It's like, I just wish you could just make good new stuff. And we don't need to currently update everything and remake everything, but I don't know. I know, the American Psycho can be freshened up and brought into modern times. I get it. Some of the Huey Lewis and the news references might be a little dated and whatever else, but it's still funny. But, I don't know. That film does not need to be remade in my eyes, but I'll watch it. And who's going to play the role?
That's what I was going to say. I honestly, I could see, Miles Teller playing it. Yeah. I could see that. I could see Miles Teller or, I'm trying to think of somebody else. I had another one on the tip of my tongue. I think like Michael B. Jordan could also be good for the role. Although I just like Michael B. Jordan in general. I just think he's a very versatile actor. Anyways. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? It's all about, and here's the thing too, is when they make these rumors and they make these reports, who's to say that they're actually even going to do it?
Oh yeah.
A lot of times they say like, yeah, we're going to do this, but then like it falls through pre-production, which happens with a lot of these films, but we'll see.
Yeah. They talk about remaking lots of things and whatever else, and it never happens. So
true.
There's no guarantee it will happen, but we're just reporting the rumors.
That's right. Running the rumor mill, as they say. All right. And actually, I have one other piece of news to add to this little list we have going here. An official Paranormal Activity video game is releasing in 2026 with advanced haunt system for maximum terror. So, this is actually being made by an entity called Dread XP. It's one of the most recognized horror video game publishers in the industry, along with Darkstone Digital and Paramount Game Studios. Basically, Dread XP has made a number of games such as The Mortuary Assistant, My Friendly Neighbor, and there's a number of other things that they've done, but those are their two most notorious, I think you would say. But I've played The Mortuary Assistant, and it is genuinely terrifying. It definitely, based on how they make their games and how they have kind of spoke to it, a lot of the things are based on like your reactions to things, and they're very intuitive, and they use a lot of very smart AI systems. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to integrate it into the Paranormal Activity universe. They haven't really said if it's going to be its standalone story or if it's going to be like a game adaptation of an already existing story within the universe. So we'll have to see about that, but obviously I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I'm down for more horror video games. So let's see what happens.
That's why I say. But all right, moving on to some upcoming birthdays.
We're moving on to the upcoming birthday, which is a holiday for Dave. I will probably eat, drink, and be merry and celebrate big time for this one. My hero and my man crush,
All right, March 1st, 1978. Jensen Ackles. That's right.
Yeah!
Supernatural, My Bloody Valentine, and the horrible vampire movie that I can never remember the name of. Devourer, yep.
He's also in The Boys.
The Boys.
Very good in that, but Devour.
But yeah, I mean, what can you say about Jensen Ackles? We both love Jensen Ackles. We love him in Supernatural. We love him in anything that he does. He's just genuinely he's a good dude. He's a good guy with his fans. You know what I mean? He's a good role model, and he kicks demon ass. So what more could you ask for?
Owns a brewery in Texas, and owns one of the Impalas for the show. Of course, so does Jared Padalecki. Just what a guy, man. Just my hero. I am a huge Jensen Ackles fan, and yes, remarkable.
Remarkable.
It's a Dave holiday.
It is. But happy birthday, Jensen. I know you're not listening, but happy birthday anyways.
Call me.
That's right. Call him. All right. Before Dave gets too excited, March 4th.
Too late.
March 4th, 1947. We're taking a trip back in time. Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's done a number of other movies. I would say most of them are probably like cameo type deals for him, but he was the original Leatherface, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a great film. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot, how much we love it. But even further than that, Gunnar Hansen is great as the original Leatherface, and definitely set the groundwork for how every other actor portrays Leatherface.
Yeah, I mean, very integral in the success of the film and the cult status of it. I mean, you get the wrong person under that mask and playing that, and it doesn't come across right. And he was brilliant in his portrayal. And I mean, in a purely physical role. I mean, really there's no lines, there's no dialogue, there's no nothing like that. There's, I mean, obviously some sound and stuff, but it's pretty much a physical, role to play, and he did it. He nailed it. Rest in peace.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say as well. He did pass, this will be year 9. He passed away in 2015, November 27th. So rest in peace, rest easy, our Leatherface. But, all right. Upcoming movie anniversaries. March 5th, 1954, Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't think I've seen the original Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm pretty sure I have seen subsequent remakes or at least inspired films of the Creature of the Black Lagoon. Mm-hmm. But if I remember correctly from one of our more recent episodes, aren't they remaking this movie?
Supposedly. They've talked about it for a while, but yeah, supposedly that's being remade. It is a creepy film. And it came a little, obviously a little past the originals, some of the first ones in the 30s, we're talking, but, this one wigs me out so bad. There's, the scenes of the lady, swimming in the lagoon, and there's shots of, the creature swimming under her, just outside of arm's reach, and it's all those fears, why I don't like this. I won't swim in lakes, cause it's like, you don't know what the fuck's down there.
True.
Creepy. But, it's a great film.
There's actually a name for that. It's phasalophobia, where you don't like open water or being over open water in that way.
Yeah.
Very common phobia, I think. I have it too, I think.
Yeah. I don't mind being in boats and, whatever, not, that kind of stuff, but I do not like to swim in lakes. Yeah. I can't. I'm not, not sure. Not that I think there's a creature down there per se, but just anything. I just don't, whatever. I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but theoretically speaking, we don't know that there's nothing at the bottom of the lake, or at the bottom of the ocean for that matter. Also, I feel like it's weird because like when you have really vast open water, especially if you cannot see the bottom, that's my thing. If I can see the bottom,
me too.
Or if it's like super clear water, I'm chill.
Yep.
But if it is murky water or like I cannot see feet in the ocean or something like that, like I'm not cool with that. And that's why like I love going to the beach, but like if I swim, I stay pretty close to shore.
Yeah, I don't like much going beyond waist deep.
Yeah.
And I don't like any of it. I don't like not knowing what's down there. I don't like not knowing how far the bottom is from, where I'm at. I don't like any of that. The whole thing just weirds me out. So
makes my ass itch.
And maybe some of it is from childhood viewings of Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know. I'm not saying, but I'm saying it probably didn't help.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably didn't. But all right. Before we get too far on our thalassophobia conversation, let's talk about an upcoming release. And we will be reviewing this on our next episode of the podcast. The film Amelia's Children, available March 1st on video on demand. Described as Edward's search for biological family in Portugal. He finds a villa and reunites with his long-lost mother and twin. But their shared past holds a dark secret that will forever change his understanding of his identity and origins. For some reason, as soon as I saw Amelia, I thought like Amelia Earhart for some reason, but I highly doubt that there's any correlation. But
no. No. Speaking of Amelia Earhart, though, did you hear they're thinking they may have found the wreckage after all these years?
Really?
There's something out there where they believe they may have, and it's pretty near some of the islands that they thought have always thought, right? But they think they may have found it. But anyway. No, this has nothing to do with that, but, I did see watch the trailer for this. It is seem pretty creepy and, a little spooky. I'm intrigued. So, yeah, we'll see what, this is kind of a small film. I don't think it had any U.S. theatrical release whatsoever. And it's, coming to video on demand. So, but like I said, looks pretty decent. We'll give it a shot. We're going to review it next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't beat it. All right. Well, I think that wraps up all of our news, birthdays, anniversaries, and upcoming releases. I like to always take a moment here to let you know that if you don't follow us on social media, you're a loser. Because we talk about this stuff all the time on social media. We post about these releases when they happen, and anytime news breaks, we try and get it out there as soon as we can. But yeah, follow us on social media.
If you don't follow us, you're definitely not Stafussy.
Amen. You are not Stafussy. You're not putting your full Stafussy into it. All right.
Could we maybe start a term like scream pussy? Scream pussy? How would that be? Scream pussy?
It would probably be like scrumusy or something like that.
Kind of like the sound of that. Scrumusy?
Yep. We put our full scrumusy into it today. But
well, we're about to lay out the scrumusy for our review.
That's right. Coming up next, we will put our full scrumusy into our official review of History of Evil.
Listen to Their Screams is now a Fangoria collaborator. Get 20% off your order at shop.fangoria.com by using the promo code LISTEN2SCREAMS at checkout. That is listen, the number 2, and screams. Or you can click the link in the show notes.
All right, we're back here on Listen to the Screams. Oh, Screamussy. I feel like that needs to be a t-shirt. Or if anybody would wear that.
I would.
I might. Well, I don't really go anywhere. I would say I would get tired of explaining it to people, but I don't really go anywhere, so no one's going to ask. All right, so this episode we are reviewing History of Evil, which was released February 23rd on Shudder and AMC Plus. Written and directed by Bo Mirhassani. I apologize if I butchered your last name there, Bo. Starring Paul Wesley and Jackie Cruz. Like I said, this movie just came out not quite a week ago on Shudder. We've had a couple, I believe last couple weeks, some movies that were kind of iffy on. And, you know what though? This one, I for some reason, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was just well done, well acted. I love how it was kind of speaking to the toxicity of this, this macho chauvinist type thing, right? Of this, right. There was the guy, saying, oh, you can't let your wife make you less than a man and blah, 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 and all that kind of bullshit. And how it spoke to, I don't know. It was like the view on masculinity of a past generation, and kind of called it out for being bullshit, and how it was catching this guy and everything else. And I don't know, man. The movie was, I really think there could have been a little more spooky creep factor. Maybe they could have thrown in a little here and there, a little more tension, but it did have some tension for me. It did build some tension. And I kind of wondered where things were going because it was time jumping a lot, going back and forth between the current and then kind of showing the past and how they got to this point. And I feel like it brought it together pretty good. And it was very well acted. I mean, all the way through. All the characters were really, I mean, even the little bit characters with some of the military, the militant figures in it and stuff. I thought it was really well acted. Very believable. And I'm not gonna get too deep into, there was obviously some a little political discourse kind of in this as well. And it's funny because you watch a movie like this. Once upon a time, if you'd seen a movie like this, you kind of would have chuckled at it and thought, oh, what, that's whatever. That's BS. But now, I don't know. Some of the division and some of the things that happen, you kind of watch this, you're like, ooh, this is not too unbelievable. That, at least the status of the country, part of it. I'm not saying some of the other things, but I really, I don't know. This movie it really entertained me. It was really fun to watch. I thought all the characters were really intriguing. I liked the old man in the vision scenes that, stuff where he was urging the guy to be more of a man and not get pushed around by his wife and this and that. I like how they built the division. I don't know if they ever said exactly how long his wife was in prison before the escape, but it was obviously a gap in time. There was, a decent gap. So I like how they played on how they both had kind of, everything had changed during that time, right? It wasn't like they couldn't just pick up where they were before. He was different. She was different. Even the child was different. And it played in everything. But I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. I didn't think it was so long, didn't run anything in the ground, didn't try to overdo itself. Like I said, I would have maybe liked a couple more, a little more creepiness, a little more something in there. But overall, I don't know. Maybe it's because of some of the relevance and the climate sometimes in the country. It really, there were parts that really kind of gave me a little bit of a chill. And, so Ike, what'd you think of it?
Yeah. So what I'll say is, I did like the movie. It was very enjoyable. There were a couple parts that let me preface it by saying I'm going to start with like the movie perspective and sort of some of the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. And then like a small little bit of commentary. So I don't want to like get anybody too crazy here, but, from a movie perspective, it was a decent movie. There were a couple of slow parts, and I do agree there could have been maybe some more, like physical scares, something to kind of catch your attention, basically draw away from sort of what was happening in the film, just kind of get you running a little bit. So I do think it kind of missed that more practical scare versus it was more psychological and more of a slow burn, if you will.
Yeah.
So from a movie perspective, I did enjoy it. I do think they could have done a couple things differently, but it wasn't so outlandishly bad or outlandishly slow. I felt like sort of like after the first like 20 minutes of the film, the pacing got a little weird, and then like the last 25 to 30 minutes of the film were good. So there was about like a probably 30 to 45 minute bundle where like the pacing was a little weird, but it wasn't so bad that like I was like, oh fuck this, I'm not gonna watch it. So that would be how I'm going to start that. The other thing I'm going to start is that, obviously I don't want to get into the total politics of it. But this is very much a lot of times when you watch movies that are dystopian, which I would say this is very much a dystopian horror film, which is unique. Just because a lot of the time when you watch a movie that is dystopian, it typically pulls from a narrative, like The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games exists as a narrative of, a dystopian future where we have to pull kids in from different districts to fight to the death as punishment for whatever. Or movies like Divergent, or there are a number of like teen like books that like talk about like dystopian futures, and even in other forms of media like Blade Runner, which I would say is borderline futuristic dystopian, or other films of that nature. You kind of always have this leering issue with the tyrannical government, right? That's almost always the reason why it's a dystopia, is because there is a tyrannical and generally fascist government that is controlling whatever's going on. So in this film, it very much depicts a dystopian future where basically there is this, how do I put it? Very much and I want to say this phrase, and I'm not meaning it to in any way, shape, or form upset people, but it's no mystery that there exists an extreme far right entity in this country, and I feel like that's where this film was pointing. It was pointing that if that ideology, that extremist ideology, were put to the extreme of power, this is what we would have. We would have a military state. There's a lot of blatant, racism, a lot of blatant sexism. Like you said, a lot of misogyny, a lot of very hot button issues in our world right now. And everything is basically exploded to the maximum because that's who's in power during the film. So it definitely touches on a lot of those societal problems that we even have in today's day and age. But it does so by using hyperbole. And I feel like a lot of people miss that. A lot of people are like, oh, they're just trying to, this is just some weird, fantasy about, people taking over, blah, blah. And I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that it's talking about topics that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's putting it into the context of a horror movie. And I think it does a good job because it does so in a way that, we have all these voices from past generations that in a lot of ways can either poison or help your cause. And in this movie, you have the older gentleman who is sort of poisoning Paul Wesley's character's mind. He is poisoning him against his family to the point in which that he feels threatened by his wife and he tries to kill her. So the alternative to that is that the wife and child of that other entity, they also act in a way to protect the wife and child of Paul Wesley. So there's 3 ghosts, 1 that is evil, 2 that are not. And I thought it was a very stark contrast here that, the man was trying to poison Paul Wesley to basically kill his family, and the other 2 ghosts were simply trying to protect them. So it definitely paints a dividing line of who is there for good, who is there for evil. And I promise I'm going to end my rant here in just a second. So the film ultimately ends with Paul Wesley, taking himself out because he realizes that he is the problem, right? And I think that this exists as a sort of, and I actually saw somebody comment this online. So what you're telling me, and I'm going to paraphrase this person's comment. I'm not going to use their comment verbatim, but I saw this comment online that said, so what you're telling me is that if I think that, I'm better than women, that I should just kill myself. And that's what they took away from the movie. And I don't think that's what the movie's telling people to do. I think it's hyperbole. It's metaphor. It's saying that, we should support people who are scrutinized by the system at play. And we should be there for the people that we care about, and we shouldn't compare ourselves to our partners in that way. You know what I mean? There shouldn't exist that dynamic of I'm threatened by my partner because of their potential success, notoriety, or whatever the case may be. And if you are threatened by that, maybe it's an internal problem and not an external problem. That is sort of the theory and the message that I took away from this, is that maybe it requires introspection for us to move on from these issues as a country. That's kind of how I took this movie, and that's why I enjoyed it. Sorry for my rant, guys. I had a lot of good opinions about this, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And again though, I did enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the commentary of what it what it was portraying. And it held my interest. Like I said, a couple more spooky parts. I don't know. Not sure how they could have tied it in, but I'm sure they could have. But overall, I think this was better than some of the movies we've been a little let down by here recently. I don't think it's anything spectacular or groundbreaking or anything of that nature. But for a Shudder streaming movie, I think it's pretty solid. And I'm pretty pleased. It's fairly screamussy or however we said it. I don't know how we said we're going to pronounce it, but whatever the case may be. So, Ike, you ready to rate this thing?
I think so.
All right. Well, like I said, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the greatest thing in the world, so nothing groundbreaking. So I think I'm just going to give it a middle of the road 3 out of 5 screams for me. It's a movie that, I don't know if I would seek out to rewatch it, but if it were presented to me or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't necessarily say no. I wouldn't run from it to give it another watch. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 screams.
Yep. I did grade it just a little bit higher. Not much. 3.5 out of 5. I felt like this was just above the average run-of-the-mill movie that I typically see, or put out there. So, I would probably give it like it's kind of like a teetering 3.5 out of 5. And the only reason I say it's teetering is because, like you said, I feel like they could have done something, make it a little more scary, just plug a little bit more in there somewhere. I think the big thing that I think they could have done to make it more scary, I was kind of thinking about it, is include the other 2 ghosts a lot more. I feel like they didn't really include them as much until sort of towards the end. And then in addition to that, make it a little more ambiently scary. You know what I mean? Have them in the background. Have like the typical ghost haunting things. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5. There could have been significant improvements that would have made it much higher. But just as a base level, 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I did think it was a little peculiar. I know there was issues already going. I did think it was a little peculiar how the character, he just kind of accepted this ghost guy sitting there, and just like, oh, sit down and have pie. And it just, he didn't seem overly alarmed by it per se. And, I do comprehend that he was already, falling down the rabbit hole of mental, disturbance. But, it was, I don't know, a little peculiar how kind of calm he stayed. But, so be it. So anyway, next week, like we mentioned, we will be reviewing Amelia's Children, which will be available once again, video on demand, March 1st, this coming weekend, as this is released. And we'll see what we think of that. Like I said, the trailer seemed a little entertaining. I'm hoping it'll be enjoyable. So, Ike, we've rambled kind of long on a couple of the recent episodes. We kind of kept this one in check a little bit.
I tried to do it a little bit more in check. Yeah, I got a little off on a tangent with the thalassalophobia, and then of course the my theory on the the subtle meanings of the film. So other than that, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, no Cuba Gooding ramblings, no Stafussy ramblings. We kept it a little bit in check though. But although we did have a little bit of Stafussy talk earlier. And what is it? How are we saying it again? Scream. How did we say we were gonna say it?
Scrumusy.
Sounds funny. Scrumusy. Okay. Kind of loses the context of the word scream though when we scrumusy. But I don't know. I don't know if it just got the same ring to it as Stafussy.
I don't think it does. We may have to figure out like a different verbiage on that at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, we'll just stick with the Stafussy though. We're hijacking that one. So pretty decent episode, all Stafussy today. And I don't know, the word makes me chuckle. All All right. Again, next week, Amelia's Children. Ike, before we close out, anything you want to add?
I had something I was going to say earlier, but we started talking about the movie and I'm like, oh shit, that completely just went out my head. No, I remember what I was going to say. So next episode, because this weekend, we're doing another one of those, horror movie and a date night cards. So next week, I'll give you guys, I'll try and remember to do it at the beginning of the episode. But I was just going to mention that, our next one is Saw. So I believe the meals are, because again, they're either themed after something they eat in the movie or it's themed off of like kind of what the movie's doing, right? So it's ham and cheddar spirals. So they're like, they're basically like a croissant type deal. And then I'm trying to remember, what was it? It was peanut butter like haystacks. I'm not totally sure how it ties in all the way, but basically it's like they're like chow mein noodles with peanut butter. I've never seen them before, but they look good, so I'll let you guys know how it turns out on our next episode. But I just wanted to mention that is coming.
Very good, very good. So there you have it. Update on that for Mike next week. But until then, make sure you stay stuffusy, give History of Evil a chance. And wherever you go and wherever you do, be good, be safe, and have many pleasant nightmares.